Hi, welcome to the third video of building scales from whole and half steps. The half step on the left, E to F, is a minor second. The whole step on the right, E to F sharp, is a major second. Now we're going to be using a T and an S. The major second will be represented by T, which stands for tone, meaning a full tone or whole step, and a minor second will mean semitone, represented by S. Now, because we're reading, we need to convey intervals with a practical nomenclature. We're using the T and the S instead of major second and minor second, which are too long to put in between and below the notes themselves. You may have noticed up to now that I rarely capitalize minor second, maybe at the beginning of a sentence, or as you just saw, I accidentally left it capital in the last one. That was my attempt to solve a problem in representing major and minor seconds with one letter. To spell out M-A-J or capital M, it's a little confusing trying to look at all these letters in a row, M2, M2, M2. Which one is which? Is it going to be major or minor second? Or the smaller M's we could use for the minor second, and or we could use whole step, half step. The only problem I found with the whole step, half step, WH, WH, is there's a psychological problem because the word whole has a H right after the W. And this kind of gets mixed up in your mind, we're thinking whole with a H and a W and a half, and it's it's a little bit confusing. So I concluded that using a T will represent the whole step or major second, and using an S will represent half step or minor second, which means semitone. So tone or semitone, whatever it's representing here, and it seems to be getting more and more terms for just one interval. We're going to just stick with this T and S for a little bit to spell out some scales. So look again at the fretboard diagram. Notice between E and F there is no note. Also between B and C there is no note. So if you've been wondering about raising sharps and flats and lowering flats, you may have been trying to figure out, well, how come it doesn't work the way I thought it would? That's because it might have been on the notes E and F or B and C, because those are natural half steps, as opposed to G to A, which has a G sharp or an A flat between them, or C to D, which has a C sharp or D flat between them. So, like I said, it only happens between those two notes, E, F, and B and C. And the other notes are usually they're all the time, they're one full step apart, that is 2 frets apart, and they have one note in between them. A to B, there's a B flat. D to E, there's a E flat or a D sharp between them. So there is such thing as an E sharp, as we've seen earlier, but most of the time it's usually just called F. There's rarely an appearance of F flat, but it would also be known as E. If you ever saw an F flat, you'll know it's E now. The rule is that when making a scale, the letters must all be included. That is, A to B, or whatever note you're starting on. If you're starting on a B, as in a B scale, or G on a G scale, you would have B to B, or G to G. In the case of the G major scale, the F would be an F sharp. How come? Because there's a formula for the major scale. Here it is. TTS, TTTS. That's a tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Just for those who don't get it yet, that would be T for whole step and S for half step. I'll say it out loud. it would be whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Don't worry, we're going to get a hold of it right now. Okay, so here we have our G scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. How do we get that F sharp up there? Well, it's part of the formula. G to A is a whole step, which we represent by tone here, T. So we have a T, T, S. And above that's written a half step. Why? Because B to C is automatically a half step, or a semitone. So we got T, T, S, T, 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 S. So what would be there if we didn't put the sharp? It would be an F. So E to F is a half step or a semitone. And below it is a T. It has to be a tone because we're following the formula TTS, TTTS. Okay, so E to F sharp has to be a whole step. We make it a whole step or a tone, a full tone, by giving it an F sharp. And that leaves us with a S semitone between F sharp and G. And that's exactly what we want. It just happens that we need a semitone up at that point. So, in order to make the whole step between E and F, what did I do? I raised it. I made it F sharp. And this automatically makes the intervals at the end a half step. I'm basically reviewing what I just said. Now, that is the pattern that we'll follow in order to explain all the scales in detail. There's a little L missing in the word detail. So we'll see you there as we build some scales. Take care. This is Gene Petty.